Hey y'all, welcome to the Meta Mind Shift Show. I am so happy that you're here. I'm always happy y'all are here. I'm always happy when you tap in, and I'm always thankful for all of our viewers around the world. My name is NiKole Maxwell, and I am your host for the Meta Mind Shift Show. We are here today to talk about Metaverse and our minds and shifting them away from some of the stuff that is being shoved down our throats. And as we talk about the metaverse, we're discovering what that is. We're seeing who's here, and we're talking about all of the really cool things that are happening in and around this space. So if y'all don't know, now you know. The metaverse is being built up every single day, all around you, all around me, and all around us. It is happening. People are making this thing happen. If you guys didn't tap into last week, you need to do that. Go rewatch episode number 10. If you already watched it once, go watch it again. Watch this one a few times too. If you are connecting with us from anywhere around the globe, we want to say hello. And we want to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to you. Thank you for tapping in, taking time out of your day, out of your life, out of what you're doing to find out what's going on in the metaverse. And so, yeah, it is a really cool experience to be thinking about the metaverse, thinking about what that is. What is it? Hello, what is the metaverse? The metaverse is the future of all things, but it is the future of the internet expanded and experienced. It is an experience that includes AR, VR, MR, XR, and all the different ways that you're going to be able to access and tap into it. What do those acronyms mean? Well, they're forms of reality. They are forms of reality that are a little different than what we're used to tapping into. And so AR is augmented reality, and that is where you can pull a piece of technology into the reality that you have as your own. For example, you can tap into some AR technology, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. Or you have VR. VR is my personal preference, the place that I go to have fun. You're going to be able to tap into VR by going into another reality and having that reality surround you. So what does it look like to be surrounded by technology? Well, close your eyes and think about being on a different planet and playing your favorite game or reading a book on the moon. Things that you can only imagine in your head in reality, but you can find ways to make happen in VR, in a virtual reality. So that's what it is. It is a virtual reality. It's somewhere that's different from where you are right now. So when we think about combining those two things, like that's when stuff gets really, really fun. So we are starting to see people care more about the combination of those two things than seeing them on their own. And so we saw some really cool things roll out last week, although I do not at all endorse or recommend the metaverse that Facebook is building up. I do recommend that everybody take a minute and tap into what the metaverse is and how you as an individual can show up in that. Facebook is not the only one that's out here building up the metaverse. They are not the only ones who are out here helping to pave the way to the future. We have a lot of people. So not only did they roll out their partners like Microsoft and Accenture and a whole bunch of other big names and things, we have a lot of little names who are building up the future. And so what does that look like? What does it look like to have and own a domain that no one else can have, that you own forever? What does that look like? What does it look like when that provider or that platform decides that they no longer want to support the domain that they sold you? Whoa, we saw that happen this week. We've seen a lot of great things happen. So we're going to get into it. We're going to tap into all things. But first, I want you to do me a favor. We all have phones. So take your cell phone. Of course, mine is green. And yes, of course, it is an Android. Take your phone, and I want you to go into that phone. And while we're watching commercials, first of all, I want you to listen and watch the commercial. But second of all, I want you to take your phone and I want you to pull up Google search. And in Google search, I want you to type in a tiger, the word tiger. And it's going to bring up the animal, and you're going to see pictures of the animal that's a tiger, right? I want you to look around, because on that page somewhere, you should be able to see that there is a tiger, but that tiger, it's going to say view in 3D. So you're going to be able to take a visible object, an object that is a tiger, and pull it into your reality. So you're going to pull that out of your phone and stick it on your kitchen floor, or stick it on your living room floor, your desk, wherever you're watching. Stick it right there. So I did this during a conference this week with a gentleman who's out in Maryland, and he's talking all about NFTs and everything. And so I said, hey, you can kind of come to understand what AR is right now. So do this with me. This is a really cool tip and trick that anybody can do right now, no matter where you are in the world. It works because Google search works pretty much everywhere. And so tap in and type in tiger, and then you're going to see the 3D. This will not work on older phone models, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but upgrade. So that is all I got on that. But if you have a phone that's been issued in the last 5 years or so, this should work. So take that tiger, and then you're going to view in 3D. And in 3D, you're going to start to hear that tiger. It's going to roar at you and roar. And you're going to be able to go and pull that tiger out and stick it on your living room floor. And then you're going to turn it around. You're going to be able to zoom in and out, and you'll see what it's like to have technology with you that you may not have had before. So that's augmenting your reality with a piece of technology. So now you get what it's like to be in the metaverse. When you're thinking about AR, when you're thinking about VR, it's just the opposite, right? So with VR, you would take yourself and stick it into a zoo. And I'm going to say zoo instead of like a safari, because for me, them animals need to be caged up if I'm going to be around. But we're going to make sure that that everybody is safe. And so we're in VR. Nothing can get you there. You're not really in danger at all. So even if you were like kind of walking through a safari, and these tigers and lions and bears, oh my, came out of nowhere, you would be perfectly fine, because all you would have to do is take off your headset. That's something we need to unpack, is safety in the metaverse. And there's a whole lot of conversations I don't know we're ready for yet. So it's not going to happen today, but we definitely do have a lot to discuss when it comes to that, and some things that have occurred in the metaverse so we'll be talking about that for sure. So do that, play with your little tiger, think about that, and then think about the future of your business in the metaverse with Black Multiverse Enterprises. If you did not know, my name is NiKole Maxwell. Welcome back. Welcome to the Meta Mind Shift Show. And I was saying, if you did not know, I am the CEO of Black Multiverse Enterprises. I am also the owner of Technical Consulting and the founder of Blackverse, a metaverse community. So shout out to all my Blackverse family who is out there watching. I know that you guys are diligently tapping in week after week. And I definitely appreciate all y'all for that. We have a really cool day planned where we are just going to talk stuff all day long today because some things have happened in our headlines that we need to address. So let's tap in. Let's dive in. We were talking about augmented reality. We were also talking about the future of us in the metaverse and what that looks like. So this week, some other terms that you're going to want to know. Some other terms that you definitely need to know are things like, excuse me, so things like AI. What is AI? AI is artificial intelligence. It is intelligence that is not real. It is artificial, just like sweetener, sweet and low, and that kind of stuff. It's not real sugar. So you have artificial intelligence. That is the power that is a driving force behind some robots and things that are out here that, there's this term that we use in technology. There's this term that we use in when you are somebody who's a futurist and you're thinking about forward thinking about the future of certain things, and that is sentient. And whether or not our technology is sentient, is it aware? Can it sense? And so eventually, sometime in the future, we may be at the point where there is sentient technology. Google, if you recall, and if you read your headlines, if you tap into those headlines, you may recall that Google actually came out with some of its workers talking about it being sentient. And man, that happened over the summer. It was a whole vibe. we enjoyed that for quite a little bit, talking about whether or not these guys were just off their rockers, or maybe there was something going down in that underground lab over there at Google. What was Google cooking up, and all these other things. And we have seen that not one, but two different people came out and said that their AI technology had reached the point of being sentient. It was aware. Now, this should scare the pants off of everybody in a calm way. Of course, we don't want to incite fear. However, we've seen the movies. If you've seen the movies, you absolutely understand why I say what I say. And if you haven't seen the movies, then I suggest going to watch some things like starting with Terminator and starting with iRobot. Those are great ones to start with. A lot of other ones that are out there as well. All of Black Mirror, just enjoy. But the idea of technology becoming sentient and having an awareness in and of itself is quite spectacular, right? So on one hand, that's really cool. So you mean to tell me that like my phone actually feels, and so when I drop it, it has feelings? Think about that. Like, think about what that would be like if your phone was sentient and all them conversations that you had, your phone was just which it is, it's sitting there collecting all that information and data on you. But if your phone could like actually talk back to you, like for real, without being programmed to do so, and it could say, yo, get up. I know you're not still in the bed. Wake up. And like it knows that because it's actually sitting right there with you. Or, hey, don't eat that. Or, kind of what would your phone say to you? So think about that. If your phone could talk without being programmed, what would it say? Now, that's a piece of technology, and so it's not that far-fetched. Same thing for your TV, your computer, your all of your little devices in your house. So some of us have coffee machines that are program technology, and so they're a little bit more advanced than just your regular old coffee maker, but they are basically machines. They are technology-driven machines. And so if that technology becomes sentient, if the machine learning kind of crosses over with the artificial intelligence of the thing, and they become aware, what does that look like in the future? So, that's just something that's out there that could potentially be a thing. I don't really subscribe to that. I think these two dudes were off their rocker and they just decided they wanted some headlines. But then again, it's Google. So anything is possible behind the scenes at any of these big corporations because they have enough data acquired to do pretty much anything that they want to. And so that is why Web3 is so important. Now, let's talk about some AI that's like really cool. So a couple weeks ago, we had Ira Revels on, and Ira talked to us about her AI art. You guys have seen my AI art. I'm sure I've spoken about that a few times. We have an opportunity to now, and this one is thanks to Facebook. Meta came out with something that I actually approve of for the very first time ever, and that is AI movies. And so you can now create, I've told you guys that I create art, AI artwork. So I speak into my computer and it creates and spits out some really cool art and things. DALL-E 2 is now wide open for everybody. So maybe we'll play with that in a minute. But you have the opportunity now to also create videos. And so you can speak a video into existence. What does that look like when you speak a video into existence? Man, I don't even know. But I think that the possibility is really, really cool. I honestly wasn't expecting this one to be coming out so fast, but it's here. Now, what the quality is on that, I'm not sure. So I have not played with this. It's on Facebook. I don't really go on there unless I have to. So I'm going to have to do this at some point so that I can play with it and or wait for the next person, their iteration of it to come out. I'm sure somebody else is working on that, and so we'll see things roll out here that are just kind of exceptional, and you'll always want to go play with them so you know kind of what's cool, what's not. And Facebook's metaverse is no different than that. I go in there sometimes. When Warrington Hudlin was here, I did go into Facebook's metaverse, which is called Horizon, and I enjoyed what our creators had created there. I will always support them no matter what, because the creators are the thing that pushed this baby forward. And they are building. I just wish that they knew that they were getting charged 50% to be creating stuff over there, and that don't make no sense to nobody. So that is what I have to say about that. But so thinking about the metaverse, articles and headlines this week. This is just sad. This is just sad. So this is just sad. They are saying that Facebook's metaverse Horizons is just sad. It is a sad, sad place to be. We have seen a few articles. It's like they decided to hit Facebook hard this week, and you know why? It's because last week they came out with the Facebook Connect. And in Facebook Connect, they told everybody that, hey, we're doubling down on what we're doing and we're building this thing out. And it doesn't matter if you guys want it or not, we're still going to build it, kind of thing. So all the news headlines have been definitely geared towards targeting Facebook. And I'm not mad at it. I'm here for it all day long. However, I don't like the fact that Facebook is still associated with the only metaverse that exists on this planet, because we know that there are other metaverses out there. We're going to talk about them in a minute, but there's a ton of other metaverses, and really all metaverses right now, the difference between metaverses, like the major difference is it's a virtual space where you're using an avatar and you are able to be in that space as yourself, as that avatar. So you're represented. In dating, we always have this term called your representative. That's the person you meet for a few weeks before you meet the real person behind the scenes, and that onion starts peeling. These are your representatives. These are your avatars that you throw at people. And if you want to be able to connect with them in real life, you can. But Facebook is just sad. This is just sad. So I refuse to call them Meta. Sorry, guys. So I will be that person that continues to call them Facebook until I'm told to stop. But they said that, apparently the worlds that are in Facebook are just a little bit sad. And so I've seen like 4 or 5 articles on this week that are talking about how sad it is to walk around Facebook. And so these articles are showing up in 2 different flavors. One is that the spaces are actually sad, that the users who are creating spaces are creating these sad and terrible spaces. And then the other side of that is that there's nobody there. And so it's sad. So let's talk about all of that. Let's unpack this a little bit. So we'll start with the idea that the worlds being created are sad. So first of all, where have you been? So no, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. People are creating things, and a lot of people are sticking with their reality. So if their reality is sad, maybe that's showing up in their world. But people are also building worlds that are fantastical, and they're virtual. These spaces, they can do things that you can't do in real life. And so they are extending their possibilities. So in the commercial, you saw how you can extend your business in the metaverse. These people are just extending their reality to something different. So not only do we have worlds where the entire world has been created as like a Bitcoin village or a Bitcoin world. In the Blackverse Summit, we saw the Avatar Convention Center, and I cannot wait to have K-Bot come and show us all about the Avatar Convention Center. But that is a world that's created. It's a store. And it's kind of like a warehouse. It's a convention center. Let me correct myself. It's not a store. But you have this whole place that is dedicated to actually seeing avatars. And so you see all these different types of avatars, whether they're pixelated or something that looks a little bit brand new. I don't see any meta humans there because I don't think they can render, but there are pictures of different types of avatars from different types of games. Avatars is actually something that does have historical reference. And so that is something that comes from gaming, or has been turned into gaming. It doesn't come from gaming, but it does have religious significance, which we won't touch. But it does come from gaming. And so gaming, we called them characters. Now we're just calling them avatars. So now we have avatars, right? And so we have these different worlds that have been built up. We've seen the African Museum of the Metaverse. We've seen the Black Business Olympics has their metaverse created by the Black Multiverse. And so the Black Multiverse has its whole directory of clients and things that are out there thriving in metaverse spaces. And you have all these different kinds of instances. We have our very own Artsy, who creates worlds for people. And those worlds are intended to be social VR worlds. That's what they're created for. Sometimes you create your own private space, but a lot of times you're creating something for public consumption. So let me ask you this. The next part of the story is that it's empty. There's no one here. Like, the metaverse is empty. It's so sad. There is no one here. The world is a flop. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Horizon. I don't really just go in there too much, so I can't speak from a Horizon standpoint. But I do go other places. And so in other places, I can tell you that just like in the world that you live in, if you go to a shopping center at the middle of the night, ain't nobody gonna be there. If you go to some places during COVID, there was no one there. If you're going to a parking lot in the middle of the day, it might be full of cars, but you rarely see people. So think about the metaverse as reflecting that also. So first of all, there are prime times. And yeah, that happens even though it's worldwide, right? So you have a certain user base that comes to visit you at a certain amount of certain time of day. You have all these different factors that you need to consider when you're thinking about saying that, hey, nobody's here. But That is for virtual spaces, right? So some virtual spaces that you have will give you statistics on whether or not on what their population looks like. Now, not everybody can provide that, and not all platforms can provide that. And some intentionally do not provide that because they are more on the Web3 side of things. So let's talk about that difference too. So when we're thinking about virtual spaces and we're seeing nobody's here, you guys are all full of it. Well, first of all, I ain't nobody. So when I'm here, I'm showing up. So that's what I'm going to say to that. But second of all, you have to consider the timing, consider the people who are here and who are here for you, and whether or not they are present. And also consider, what the space is geared towards. So if you have a space that's geared towards Halloween, which, by the way, tap in with Black Multiverse to get your Halloween spaces created. Call that number that will be scrolling around the bottom of the screen here in a minute. But we want you to be able to tap in. So think about, is it geared towards a holiday? Is it geared towards kids? So during school hours, kids are probably not going to be there. So if you're thinking about Roblox, there should be nobody there in the middle of the day. Why? Because the primary users in the middle of the day should be kids, and they should be all at school. And if they're not at school, y'all got something to think about, even if they're getting homeschooled. So that's a problem there. But taking that a step further, when you're thinking about Web3 spaces and the blockchain, why would those numbers differ? Well, let's have a conversation about that after you see what the metaverse can actually look like, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So welcome back to the Meta Mind Shift Show. My name is NiKole. I'm your host. Today we are talking all about the news headlines and what it looks like to show up and show out in the metaverse. So why right now we are questioning the articles that have come out and some of the different things that are being said about these spaces that we love so much. So what does it look like to be in the metaverse? They're saying nobody's here. Nobody's here. So first of all, so first of all, when we're thinking about social VR and we're thinking about social spaces, social is the key, right? And so some of these spaces are created to be social spaces. So just like when you go to a party, that party has a set time that it starts and a roundabout time when it's going to end. That's when people will be there. Think about it. Why does that not just make sense to some folks? I don't know. But that's the reality of the situation. So a lot of these spaces aren't built, first of all, to have all day constant contact, right? Like shouts out to constant contact. But all day constant contact. Like you are not here to all day long, because we can't do it. We physically cannot do it yet. We do not have headsets that allow us to be in a space where we are constantly in the metaverse, regardless of whose metaverse it is. We just don't have that type of thing. Now, are some groups doing it? Yes. And guess what? They're test subjects. They are being collected for their data. They are test subjects that are out here testing out what it's like to be in a VR headset all day long. I can tell you, like, I love my VR headset and I can play games all day long, but after an hour or 2 or 3 or 4, I need to take it off and take a break. And I don't go 8 hours straight. I have gone to sleep in my headset, so that's a little bit different and probably not advisable, but it is something that happens. So that's one thing. But when we start thinking about Web3, and we're thinking about why these numbers don't make sense, you have to understand how Web3 works. So when we look at something like Decentraland, Decentraland has two options to get in there. Actually, there's probably like more than that, but on the website, when you go into Decentraland, because Decentraland is a decentralized virtual space that you can access on your browser, also known as a browser-based metaverse, okay? So when you are accessing Decentraland, you can access it with your wallet or with your as a guest. Okay. So they want you to tap in, they want you to have your wallet. And if you don't have one, you get to be a guest. And so you get to go in with the guest avatar. And so that guest avatar, that could be counted no matter what. Like that always is going to count as one. Now, if I come back weeks later and I'm still that one person and like for some reason my browser cookies and cache didn't clear out, then maybe it still recognizes me as that same person. But it could also be counting me as a different person because I'm now in as a guest again. Okay, so you're also able to have your wallet. And so the thing about a wallet is this: you're not limited to just one in the metaverse, y'all. In Web3, you can have numerous wallets, numerous addresses, and we love that about Web3. Like, ain't nobody trying to stick to just one. I don't have to have just one. Now, if I have Decentraland assets, then those assets might be logically put in one wallet for me to have. But I could have many different addresses all within one wallet, right? Just like you can bank at a certain place and have many different accounts open with that bank that all serve different purposes for you and your budget and how you do things. The same thing is true for Web3 wallets. So if you are not tracking the computer, what am I calling it? I want to say IMEI. It's so not an IMEI. That's on your phone. If you're not tracking the individual, this is terrible. This is embarrassing. If you're not tracking the ID on the back of your computer and tracking the actual device hardware itself, I'm going to get that because I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, if you're not tracking that yourself, you are going, or if that's not the data that is being pulled in order to track it, then everything else is skewed. You have no idea if some person came in for 1 hour and they were present on one wallet and then they logged out and they said, oh, wait, let me go back in. And they go in with another account. You don't know. You don't know what those folks are doing because in the decentralized world, those types of metrics don't make sense. And so when you are asking like how many concurrent users do you have, like those are metrics that make sense for the norm, right? So in order to be normal and be normalized, like you have to have those types of metrics. But when you're thinking about Web3, I wager that things that are important, that those change, right? So what is the number of NFTs that have been acquired in an hour? What is the number of different wallets that have connected? I want to know stuff like that because that to me could mean each individual user that is coming to my platform. At the very least, it means somebody who has tapped the connect wallet button because that's an actual physical step you have to do. I want to know those things because that's effort on somebody's part to just be logging in, right? And so to me, that makes more sense and us being able to track that. You also want to know how many events were kicked off. Like, so were a certain number of users in a certain space all at the same time? Like that usually is an indication. It's kind of like a heat map. Like, who was there and who was there when it happened and what types of events are happening in my space or my platform, because those are, we may want to bring in more events like that to get up the population, and we may want to have more things going on of that nature to pull more people in and help increase adoption. The main thing that we need to understand about all these articles is that in no way, shape, form, or fashion should you be expecting a kabillion people in the metaverse right now. That's just illogical. Why? Because you've heard me say this time and time again, we are early. We are still building. And just because there's thousands of people who talk about it on Clubhouse and hundreds of people who talk about it on Twitter or vice versa, that does not mean that every single one of these platforms is going to be filled up all the time. And then a lot of folks are coming to the metaverse for their business. So if you're looking at hours that are US based business hours, guess what? Those are going to be sporadic. The other articles that have come out this week are along the same lines. But again, you have to understand where they are coming from. So there's another article that popped out this week, and I'm going to try to find it, but it is an article that they were saying that people only wear their headset for like a month and then they're all done. Well, that's a lot of money to be spending for just a month or two. Certainly I do understand why you might do that. But you have to understand again that it's not for everybody right now. Like the metaverse, ultimately with the capital M, that metaverse is going to be for everybody. It is always going to be for everybody. However, we're not there yet. And so the headset, it's a little clunky. They're getting better. We're seeing that HTC is coming out with a really great headset. We're seeing that people are trying to come out with contacts so that we can wear those contacts and enjoy those contacts. That's going to be pretty cool too. But by no means do any of these metaverse spaces, and I would say even like the worst metaverse space ever, some of these articles are suggesting that the metaverses are coming out with like numbers of like 30 people for a month. Those are ridiculous numbers. And, I could get better than that on the little worlds that I've created. So I don't think that those are true. In fact, I would wager that there's some skewed data and some folks who don't know how to decipher the data that they've been receiving from their headsets and things like that. But the other world was just, or the other article was saying that, people, they take their headsets and maybe use them for like a month and then they're done. Now that I believe. Why? Because if you are the only person in your group of people who likes VR, you do not have people that you can connect with that will let you come in with VR or that will do things with you in VR. So like you kind of want somebody else to hang out with. It is always extremely cool when you find people that and like I've hung out with people that I know, quote unquote know, from like other virtual spaces, and we've hung out in VR. There's a guy that I used to hang out with in one of my games, and we actually rode a roller coaster together. Like it was really cool. Like, so those are kinds of things that you can do that allow you to pull in, people that you may know. But for the most part, you are out here and you are going to be seeking new friends. And so we are going to need all the people in the world who love to be door greeters. All of y'all, come learn about Web3 so that you can help people to the other side. So you can help people to find the metaverse that resonates with them. And actually, that's what I do. So if you are looking for someone to hang out with in VR, if you're looking for all the cool places to go to, if you're looking for a way to connect and just how to like happening spots to go to, or things to avoid, or you're just trying to dip your toes in and you don't know how to dip, let me know. If you are in that first 14 days of your device, like let's say you just bought your device and you are now in that your grace period, so you can still return it, right? You're in your grace period. I want you to wear the wheels off of that VR headset. Wear it out, because the more you use it, first of all, you're going to get into a routine. You're going to understand how to use it, right? Like that is what's critically important, is knowing how to actually use it. And then going from there, learning which spots you can go to, what games you like, because games are out there. And I don't know why, for the life of me, people just avoid like all of those as if they don't exist. There's so much fun stuff. But you are able to do a lot of really cool things, but you got to know where to go. So that's why you call me. Let's connect. And you can definitely come to some of my seminars and webinars, and you can connect with me at metamindshift.com. That is right here. You're going to be able to see that, and that is metamindshift.com. Book an appointment, and we'll get you squared away. We will make sure that you are not out here all by yourself and hanging out with just you, because we want you to have good experiences in these metaverses, not just Horizon, because that is not the only metaverse that exists in this world. There are a bunch, and y'all don't know what I know. So let's go. So we're talking about the metaverse. We're talking about all things. And so last week I told y'all that Facebook had just got done with their MetaConnect conference. And we talked all about that. The whole entire episode was basically dedicated to that conference and all my thoughts on that and the privacy. Right after that, right after the show wrapped, I received my brand new spiffy privacy policy from Facebook, essentially saying everything that I said in that show. So I absolutely feel like I was in the right for going off, just like I was last year. I'm not wrong. They want your data. Not only do they want your data, they've been collecting your data this whole time and using it to tinker and create these sometimes cool but extremely fantastical things behind the scenes. And so now they are being upfront and telling you, hey, anytime you wear a headset, we're collecting your data. Thank you. Well, okay. Well, that didn't sound like I had any wiggle room on that. So I appreciate you. And this is why we like Web3. So Web3, ultimately, the goal is to be able to empower you as an individual to own your own data. There are a ton of stories out this week talking about ocular eye tracking data. That's a lot of words to say. Ocular eye tracking data. It's kind of the same thing twice, but your ocular region, your eyes, and the data that is being collected on you. Anytime you put on a headset, anytime you put on a device, anytime you use your phone, anytime you use one of these apps or your TV, there is data being collected. Now, sometimes you're able to opt out of that data if you know where and how to do it. But in your headset, that's not an option that I've found yet. So let's talk about that. In the future, because I can't do it now, but in the future, I want to own my own data. These are words I say every week and almost every single day, if y'all know me, right? And so I want to own my own data. I am okay with certain things, like I want Facebook and Microsoft to improve. So yes, we got to provide them with some information for that improvement to happen. But I don't want it sold outside of their organization. I don't want it stored in those databases. I want to be the holder and beholder of all of my data. I want to transact my data with who I want it to go to. And so, that is what's possible in the future if we all get really serious and we stop just saying yes to everything. Yes, here's a privacy policy. Yes, here's the terms and conditions. I ain't reading nothing. Yes, 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 yes. That makes no sense. Stop that. It is a terrible practice. Go to your email right now and look at what Facebook sent you last week if you are a VR headset owner, because that actually does tell you what they intend to change in their privacy policy, what they did change in their privacy policy, and how they will be modifying and using the data that they are collecting on you as you use it, especially with the new headset that is coming out. They have a brand new headset coming out, is the Oculus Pro, Oculus Quest 2 something that is coming out. I will not be getting that one, but I am excited about the HTC one. And I am excited to go review that privacy policy to make sure that it is in line with my values. Self-sovereignty is a sovereignty that we cannot pass up on. All right, so enough talking about that. So let's talk about the future in the metaverse. So last week I also told y'all that Dubai and the UAE were over there. They were cooking up some stuff and they had some really cool things going on. And yeah, they did. And so I want to say it was the World Metaverse Conference happened in Dubai, and it absolutely took place. And now we are seeing that Dubai has become the first city in the whole entire world. Y'all heard me, in the world, to offer services in a virtual land. All right. Dubai and the UAE have been in this race to make and create the metaverse. And they have been coming up with ways to try to like one up each other quite a bit. And so now they have Dubai has come out with their police force offering services in the metaverse. Not really sure what that ends up looking like, but they are. So it says it's a historical event as Dubai's Ajman Police General Command unveiled the request for sponsorship. Hey, I got one of those too. Got a request for sponsorship for sure. Going out to literally everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice. If you want to sponsor the show, tap in at metamindshift.com. And or sponsors at metamindshift.com or sponsors at technical.com. We are always looking for people to support us and to support what we're doing here. If you got a commercial, let's run it on the network. So the Dubai Police Artificial Intelligence Director, Major General Khalid Nasir Al Razouk, said the smart device will be used for this metaverse leveraging project that stores an individual's information and their transactions. It also is aiming to store traffic violations and other offenses that are committed by the users. This development furthers the goal of the UAE to be a metaverse hub in a goal to attain its envisioned all digital commodity. So, wow. I'm not really sure what this ends up looking like, but the pictures that I'm seeing, it actually has a metaverse space with some gentlemen who look like they're probably on the Dubai police force that are inside of this virtual space, alongside of a individual who looks like she's the real life version of the police officer, and she actually has on a VR headset, so she's controlling what's happening. And what's interesting about this is that she is clearly a woman. She has on her mask that is, or her head wrap that is donned, and her police uniform. But in the world, she's actually a male police officer. And so that is interesting, and obviously something that definitely happens in the metaverse. You can switch things up however you like to. There is no judgment usually in any of those spaces. So things like that are definitely happening, you guys. So thinking about police, we have some other stories that hit my feed this week. So we've talked about safety, and I said we're going to have a whole show about what it actually means to be safe in virtual spaces and what that can actually look like. But we also have an article out here that is talking about cyber threats. So cybersecurity analysts are still required. They're still a thing. They're not going anywhere. In fact, if you have a role in cybersecurity, you probably have more than enough work right now in the metaverse. So we definitely know that Web3 is full of folks who are trying to get one over on the masses, and they are taking advantage of the fact that certain folks just don't know what they're doing. And so it is rather easy to get over on somebody. And so that is what I'm trying to use my voice to stop, is things like that. But also awareness, right? So creating awareness and making sure that people can move safely. So what does it look like to exploit the metaverse? Well, let's just ponder this for a minute. So, in a typical world, we have cybersecurity analysts who help people to protect them from spoofing and phishing and identity fraud, malware, ransomware, social media abuse, email fraud. I said that, and all sorts of different other attacks like DDoSs and all sorts of stuff like that, right? And so, in the virtual space, this article is suggesting that, hey, it's going to be a little different. So right now, what we see is crypto scams. So everybody's out for the money. You see people who are taking advantage of people's crypto scam or crypto and finding ways to scam them out of their money, right? What we also are seeing, though, is that, and what this article is saying is that in the future, and even now, we could have attacks on avatars. So, in gaming, this isn't unheard of, right? So in gaming, I've had plenty of times where I've been a part of a gaming platform of some kind. The gaming servers get hacked, and so it's a centralized server, which means that people know where to go. Once they find it, they can rummage around and find what they need to siphon off that ultra rare weapon that you got, or that perk that only you got on the server. They steal it from you, like your angel wings and Vindictus. They take those from you, and it's a whole thing, right? So exploits happen like that. So we know avatars can be attacked. But what's different about that is in the metaverse, think about the fact that like your avatar is your representation of you. And so if people are going to be malicious, they can be malicious to you. I'm going to pause and come back to this in a minute. But there's also this idea of taking your avatar and replicating it. So for me, that's huge theft, right? Like I own my avatar. I want my avatar to be me. Do not touch her. She's mine, right? Like that's my girl. If I see a bunch of her running around, like that's a definite problem. But also, kidnapping an avatar. I've never heard of this. I've never seen it. But, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure somebody is going to come up with a way to kidnap an avatar. Like, could you imagine if you go to your work, as like your conference call for work, and you're logging in and you're like, where's my avatar? And like you go to like put your avatar on and you're not ready because your avatar is going to go in your place for you, and so you're not ready at all, and then like you can't find her, like where's my avatar, where'd she go? Lucky for you, you can have backups. So if you're using Web3 and you're on the blockchain, that avatar, if it is an avatar that was created to be a Web3 avatar, then you absolutely will have a backup of what that is, and you can restore it from any node. Just refresh the data on that NFT and it'll be back and spiffy. Now, there's probably going to be ways that people can accomplish that, especially with virtual spaces or metaverses that are not on the blockchain, because there's only one copy. When it's one and done, maybe there's a backup, maybe that platform will restore it for you, but you never know. You never know. So we're seeing all sorts of interesting things happen when it comes to the metaverse. So not just the idea of crypto being taken and that actual monetary value being gone, but the items in your wallet. Like that wallet is so important, you guys. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to always, 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 and never, 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 never. So always, always, always keep your passwords safe, and never, 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 ever, ever, ever give away your seed phrase, because that is the keys to that whole kingdom. I like to tell all of my clients to make sure that you treat your wallet like it's got $1 million in there. And if you already have $1 million and that's chump change to you, which for some of them it is, then I want you to treat it like you got 20 billion or 20 million or whatever, some astronomically high, unachievable number for you as an individual, something that you dream and aspire to. Act like you actually have it in that wallet. Don't treat it like your social, because people treat their social security numbers and their social security cards very frivolously. I don't want you to treat it like that. I want you to treat it like it is life changing, because it is. So just look back at 2016, 2017, all those people who had cryptocurrency wallets and they are locked out. So they had Bitcoin years ago. They are locked out of those wallets and they are just have no choice but to sit there and just be sad about it. Like they could tell the story and maybe it's a good story and that's about it, because they ain't getting that money back until they find that seed phrase. So that is why it is important for you to care for what you do. Y'all, this has been a fun day. We've talked about all sorts of things. Oh, I was going to tell you. So there's an article out as well. When reality and virtual reality and digital spaces meet. It can be really interesting. It can be really bad too. So I forget exactly what the article was, but somebody defaced a painting. And dang, if I can find it. They poured paint on the painting, and so I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, and I'm just like, yeah, so here we go. So it was a Van Gogh, and they dumped 2 cans of tomato soup on the Van Gogh, right? And so, man, what would you do if somebody decided to take your NFT that you had displayed in a space somewhere and then just deface it, but then call out that defacement or that destruction as art? And so then they flip the script on you. Like, you can't be mad at that. It's a derivative. Like, what? Oh my God, I'd be hot. It'd be a bad day for everybody. So I want you guys to definitely make sure that you are telling your friends, share out the feed with your friends, share the replays with your friends and your family and your coworkers and anybody else who doesn't know what the metaverse is, or anybody who's talking about the metaverse wrong, or anybody who feels like there is not enough equity, diversity, and inclusion when it comes to the metaverse. I'm right here, and I'm happy to come talk to you about that and to talk to you about how we can make waves and make changes for us in our communities. You guys tap in. Be sure that you are being safe with all the things that you do. Make sure that you prepare yourself, because the future is coming and the metaverse is coming, and it is being built up regardless of whether you are here as a player or not, regardless of whether you want to tap in or not. If you make that choice to not tap in, you are making a choice to not tap into the future. And so that is what I want to leave you guys with today. I am so thankful for all of our sponsors. And so this is my favorite part of what I do. And so I want to very quickly just say, boop. Thank you to the EE Testing Center. Thank you to all of our sponsors. So starting with the Black Business Network, thank you to the Black Business Network, the Black Business Expo, and the Black Business Olympics. If you are a speaker, if you are a Black business owner, we want to hear your voice. So bring your voice to the Black Business Expo. Black Business Olympics is happening November 14th through the 20th. You are able to sign up at blackbusinessexpousa.com. And then I want to say thank you to Artsy. I want to say thank you to Technical Consulting. Thank you to Black Multiverse Enterprises. Thank you to Constant Contact. And then also thank you to our family over at Black Multiverse Enterprises and the MetaMind Shift Show. Our production team is behind the scenes, and they are helping us out with a whole bunch of things today. And so I thank them as well. We're going to go ahead and do logos, because why not? There we go. I didn't miss any. So thank you guys. We do need more logos there. If you would like to see your logo, your commercial, your beautiful face, or your product, service, or anything that you are doing on display here on the MetaMind Shift Show, as well as on and in the metaverse, you should reach out to me. I definitely accept donations. So you can hit that up at cashapp.com. I'm sorry, at Cash App, and my handle is technical. You can also join us every Tuesday and Thursday for the Black Multiverse, and we are going to be presenting the Grow with Google Basics series. So every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time, we are hosting the Google Basics and helping you to become more technically savvy. This is NiKole, and my voice is resting. Thank you so much for tapping in, and have a glorious rest of your week.